joining me today. My name is Gabriel Brent, and we will be doing our weekly forecast as well as our weekly look back into what the markets have done last week and what we can see them doing here this week. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Looking back at last week, these were the levels that we were looking at. As you can see, we saw price bounce just before the low of this zone here on CL. So when that usually happens, it's a good sign that price is really reversing because big money knows where that demand zone is, and if they go into it, it makes that area of demand a little bit weaker. So they pulled out just before we got into that, and let's see what transpired through the rest of the week there. Okay, so here is our low down here that we were just talking about at 91.26. And as we look at that, you can see that we did bounce there, and we are going back up to that level of 96.82. It looks like up here, which is where that yellow zone was before. You can see that we did have a really nice our money bounce at like 95, right around the 95.69 level. Price came down, and then it's just been slowly peaking up through here. We got another little bounce off of that level at 95.24, and it looks like we're coming back up into like 96.82, if you will. So we just formed a new 4-hour zone, and as it looks like we just bounced off the very top of that zone area, and these are the different levels that we would be looking to play with for our up and coming week here. So that's kind of where we're looking at into the 97 area up into 98, as well as all the way down there to the 91 level. But if we, as you notice, that we do have a yellow and a blue zone over here uh, just above us, which means price has bounced on those a few different times. So let's see if we can't scroll up here a little bit and see what's going to happen, see what potential levels of resistance or supply we have above them. So it looks like above us we have a level right below $100 there, around 99.29 to 98.49, and we could also see price coming into those areas. And just so you guys know that this level is actually really old. Um, Looks like it started back there at 130. So January 30th is how old that zone is. So these levels can last for long periods of time, and we just need to be aware of that. And moving on, let's go to our next market here. So moving over to the ES market, or the E-mini S&P 500. This is the levels that we're looking at, and kind of what we saw from the previous week as well. So we can see that price moved from supply down to demand, and had a couple nice bounces off this level. So let's look at what happened throughout the week here. All right, so this is roughly the levels that we are watching at the time here. Uh, let's go ahead and here's the old level from over here on our video from last week, and it looks like price did bounce around in this, had gave it some real nice resistance here, or excuse me, some support here, but then price finally did break through to the downside, and then it looks like we have engulfed and are coming back up to this zone up here. So we're looking at doing something in this level, which is is also a level that we have from our previous week. So let's see if the move does continue to go to the upside here on the E-mini S&P 500 to give us a real nice retest of that level. And then if we break the 1660 level, look for us to go up there. Now, notice that both of these levels are blue, so price does not have to stop or turn around on either one of these levels, but price could go straight through. Just because price has been there once, it's given us our money bounce on both of these levels, and it can definitely go through if we want to. So you need to let price action confirm these moves before you jump on the downside bus for sure. So uh, moving on into our next market, we have the Euro USD. So here's what we were looking at last week, and we were seeing that this thing was failing to break the lows, and it looks like we were making new higher lows on each one of these consecutive bounces here, if you will. And we were looking at these two levels above us, like 132 down to about 131 was our goal for the upside move. So let's go ahead and see what has happened throughout the week. Well, sure enough, we actually exceeded both of those levels, so it looks like we are going higher. Looks like we're going much higher, in fact. So uh, the level up above us now is this, and we can see some fresh levels even above that. So it came in with some real gusto and power, and really powered through it on the upside. So definitely would have completed the money bounce that we saw on this previous level at 29, or at 129, and really gave us a nice thrust to the upside there with a lot of bullish sentiment. So it looks like we still haven't really lost that sentiment, as this thing looks like it could still go a little bit higher. But we always want to be aware at these zones because they do act as filters and really good places to watch the market and see what happens there. And don't forget the big weekly picture that we were looking at, where we were really looking for the weekly move from the 127 all the way up to like the 134 level, which is what we've been talking about for a while now. So that move still looks like it's in very nice symmetry, and still moving up quite nicely there. So uh, don't forget the weekly picture, and to look at the bigger time frames, even though on an intraday basis, it really doesn't matter because you can make money on both ways. So let's go ahead and move over to our next market. In the TF, it looks like we had a projection of these levels being important. Obviously we were bouncing off supply, looking for a move to the downside to demand. Now let's go ahead and see what has happened throughout the week here. Well, as you can see, we did bounce off of the supply level, and it looks like we came all the way down to this wonderful demand level. We found support again, and now it looks like we are coming back up into a freshly created supply level that was just a little bit older than the previous zone there. So I think that's really interesting, and you can see that we had apparently like an hourly or some type of zone down here on the TF that we have drawn right there when we're looking at the move from supply down to demand from a few weeks ago. Looks like we drew those levels out there, and lo and behold, that move did happen in a major way. We found our support and now it looks like we are trying to move back into resistance, which looks like this level right here could find some resistance, and then we could possibly go even higher because price has bounced off of the top of this at least once, and which means anything can happen on the retest as we get back into that level. So again, we'll need a price action confirmation as we look to the upside on that. So those are the levels that we're kind of playing in a range here. Looks like we've had a kind of a nice little retracement, and we just got to wait until we are in a zone to make the decision. So uh, again, the zones work as great filters. Wait for the price to come to or wait for the price action bus to come to the bus stop before we decide to get in, or to make a decision on whether or not we really want to ride that bus. So but these are the levels that we're watching, and it's very possible that we could see just a small bounce, kind of like we saw price enter into the zone and come down, and then level through this 4 hour area on its way back up here to the next 4 hour zone. So we will see what happens. Okay, looking at corn, this is what we are looking at. We're waiting for the breakout of this little range here, because we knew that we were on two sides of a range, and maybe if we look a little bit further on here, I believe that we're inside of a real big type of uptrend channel. Consolidation area. So let me see if I can
So looks
see
like
that.
we'll probably have
There we go.
to the
There's
downside
the upside channel that we are looking at here.
to break the high.
And we saw the real big down bar
the little hangman red candle right
last
there.
week. So we did get out of the range, but we came down, and it does look like it's kind of an interesting area here. But we are making new highs, but that blue line up above and the blue line down below represents a channel that we've been in for quite some time here. So let's look at what has happened and transpired. Uh, well, actually, it looks like we are still in the channel, so to speak. There's our low, there's our high, and we are making new highs as it tipped just above there. Again, don't forget that we are looking at 705 for a good daily zone to be playing on if you are looking to hedge your corn harvest. But when will we get up there? That is a good question. But that's what we're looking for as prices moving inside the channel, and it's just going back and forth pretty slowly right now. But these are the levels that we're watching, and kind of what we're expecting to see here in the next few months, I would say overall, getting back up to possibly that level up in the 700 range. So hope that helps all of you farmers out there. Moving over to the NQ, this is what we were looking at on the NQ market. So it looks like we found a nice little zone over here, or we found a nice little demand zone or support area down here, and we could possibly see a move to the upside, pending price action would allow us to do so. So let's see what has happened. Alright, so now let's look at what has happened here, and as we can see, we did get a nice push to the downside here into some zones that obviously have disappeared off our charts now. Price didn't really engulf like we wanted it to. Like I like to see a 2 bar engulf here, and that definitely didn't happen. So it went up a little bit higher, but overall it stayed in this downtrend line here. So if you draw a little trend line connecting all the dots, so to speak, you can see a nice little trend line being formed here across the highs. so it stayed in the downtrend. And we actually had this level down here of 2903 highlighting, and you can see it got really close to that level for us, but not quite. So it bounced back up and kind of stalled out here right on the zone line, and now has moved into our next zone. A little bit of a bounce off of that, but it definitely looks like, since now that we've had our first bounce off of this zone, it looks like price is moving up through the trend line. But we will, right now is the retest of that trend line that we just drew here. So, and again, we've had multiple bounces on these previous zones, so we will see what that continues to look like here in the future. So that pretty much wraps up the levels that we're looking at. As always, most of the indexes will pretty much stay the same with one another. So it's very possible that we could break up even higher, or we could find resistance in possibly the highest zone up here. I could definitely see those two different things happening, but we are still looking for price to resume to the upside here. So we'll see what happens with the trend line if it holds, but all the indexes usually move in tandem, so got to keep that in mind. And hope that this has been helpful, and hope that by seeing the big picture, you'll be knowing where you're looking at for potential supply and demand here in this coming